with me, it's loading up. Okay, we're all set.
Okay, locally, the World Day of Remembrance is sponsored by Albany Bicycle Coalition. That's the Fire Organization, Capitol Streets, and Walkable Albany. We're always looking for other partners to join in. Nationally, a couple of the bigger organizations that are doing it, the Vision Zero Network and Families for Safe Streets. I'll talk about them in just 1 second. But the theme for this year is that traffic deaths and serious injuries are preventable, which is consistent with this. There we go. Nationally, there are a number of communities throughout the country that are having events. As you see, 75 events in nearly 40 states, and that's grown year after year. Began in the early 90s with in England and in France. 2005, the UN General Assembly recognized the third Sunday of November as the World Day of Remembrance for road traffic victims. Among the chief US sponsors, as I said, Vision Zero Network, and they're a big national safe systems approach advocate, and also Families for Safe Streets, which provides support and advocacy for families impacted by traffic violence. And I'd like to point out Families for Safe Streets, especially because if you know somebody that's impacted by traffic violence, the family, this is a great organization. Put them in touch with. Not so much, they do advocacy, but they have social workers, and they're all people and families that have been impacted themselves. One of the founders was a woman named Amy Cohen. She's actually a local. She went to Shaker High. They lived up in Latham. Coincidentally, we found out she actually used to take piano lessons at my wife's house, which is another small bitty kind of thing. But as I said, they're a great organization. If you find somebody that is impacted, put them in touch with these folks here. The sub-theme that they have is remember, support, and act. And it's a reminder that each statistic, and this is like a wall of national statistics that we're looking at here, but each statistic is about a beloved parent, a child, grandparent, friend, neighbor, somebody that was killed in a predictable and preventable traffic crash. And this is locally what we're looking at here in Albany County, vulnerable road users, bicyclists and pedestrians that were fatally that died in crashes, and also those that are seriously injured. Sometimes when you hear like Vision Zero goals, sometimes they kind of drop off the serious injuries, and you hear like our goal is to prevent fatalities. The Vision Zero Network is that it doesn't just look at fatalities, but it also look at serious injuries. Serious injuries that we're talking about, like what are often life-changing events, not only for the victims, whether they lose bodily function, perhaps, pain that they have to deal with the rest of their life, but also for their families. And some of those things, the kinds of things that are never fully compensated or corrected that people have to live with for the rest of their lives. And every serious injury could easily be a fatality as well. So we aim to eliminate those. We've been doing this this is going to be our third day remembrance that we have here in Albany. This is a picture of the 2023 event. We've been holding it. I think we're going to hold it again across from City Hall in Albany, which is Academy Park. And it's also conveniently located also by the Albany County building, as well as the New York State Legislature. And participants included advocacy groups, like I've mentioned, but also impacted families, elected officials, and administration officials. And what we have done is last year we remembered 19 City of Albany pedestrians and bicyclists that had been killed in the prior 10 years. Some of those people, they're young people and old people. Some of the people were never identified. All we know is that it was a pedestrian victim, Watervliet Avenue. News reporting, it's funny because sometimes you don't even see these things in the news. Or you might hear about a crash in the news, but news cycles being what they are, you don't know what happened to the individual. Maybe you never find out the name of who the individual was. Some of these things we pull out of FARS, which is the federal database that fatality analysis reporting system that's produced by I think it's produced by NHTSA. And you can look back, it's always a couple of years old, but you can look back and you find out, oh, there was a fatality at this intersection. What happened? And then you have to go back, you see if there's a news report. Sometimes there is no news report. And then you FOIL, for the information and we find out what actually happened. Some people, we do know very well, this being, for Roger Sawyer, who was killed on Washington Avenue Extension. Some of you know, where the McDonald's is by, Crossgates Commons. There's a ghost bike there, and that's there for Roger Sawyer. This was Roger Sawyer's mom, who's a great advocate. She's also works with Families for Safe Streets, and she was there to tell a story about her son's how her son was killed. And let's see if we can do this. This is WTN coverage of the event. Maybe you don't have it. Okay. Yeah, that sound is off. Oh, of course, they give you an advertisement, but it doesn't last too long. I think it's muted in the box.
Traffic safety advocates coming together in Albany today with loved ones of pedestrians who were killed in crashes.
The vigil for victims of traffic violence served as a chance to honor the lives lost and to call for improved safety measures.
News 10's ABC's Karina Dominguez has more now on what they're hoping to see change.
Catherine Parker on February 21st, 2013.
Larry Cunningham, age 62.
Pernell Compton, October 6, 2022.
The names of 19 victims from the last 10 years were read at the vigil today. Among them, Roger Sawyer.
On October 19th, 2017, Roger Sawyer was struck by an SUV.
His mother, Patricia Sawyer, says he was riding his bike over Washington Extension near Crossgates when he was hit by an unlicensed driver on his way to work.
No parent should have to bury their child before them.
She says it's frustrating, but you learn how to live without them.
Well, it did make a difference in my family because I have 4 sons and he's the missing link. It is a big difference. He was a good boy. He had a lot going for him.
Ed Brennan is the president of the Albany Bicycle Coalition and says they looked at data comparing crashes from 2019 to 2022 and found the number of crashes has decreased, but the number of fatalities and serious injuries has increased.
The crashes that we're having are more violent, and there's only 2 things that go into the violence of a crash: the mass of the vehicle involved and the velocity that it's going at.
The coalition and other organizations have been unified in their demands for the city of Albany to focus on solutions in the upcoming year. They want to reduce speed limits to 25 miles per hour on all non-limited access roads. They also want to ensure speed cameras are installed in all school zones and want assurance that cameras won't be removed if there is public backlash.
We wanted to make sure that we had requests that were doable in the next year. And 2 things I know the city's really been working on, the first 2.
Brennan says he also wants improvements made on Central Avenue, which has been identified as a consistently challenging area. Reporting in Albany, Karina Dominguez, News 10 ABC.
Leaders in East Greenbush lowered the speed limit to 25 miles per hour early.
That was just a follow-up report from that screen. So media outreach is an important element of the, of the event that we do. for two reasons. Number one, like I said, to broaden the public understanding of the extent of the problem, is people people think of crashes and traffic deaths as commonplace. They just accept them way too much. But you know, we try to drive home the impact on families, that this could be your family, your loved one that's lost, and of the preventability. We know now that there are steps that can be taken to drastically reduce the number of crashes that we have. And also, media is important because we know decision makers are watching the media. And so this is another way of, if we can't get into their offices, another way of getting their attention. So last year, as they alluded to, the calls of action we had for last year was the 25 mile per hour for the city of Albany, which has been achieved. The school zone speed cameras, which has also been achieved, and they were sort of in the works then, but they weren't finalized, and we, hopefully, we spurred that on to get it to completion. And the third thing, which we have not yet seen, is the implementation of the city's bike ped master plan. We think it's a very good plan, but there's no implementation procedure, or it should, right now it's gathering dust. So we want to make sure that it doesn't just fade into history like the one that they did in 2009. So our 2024 calls to action, and they're still really kind of up in the air, but tentatively, number one, again, pedestrian safety and protected bike lane improvements for the Keystone Central Avenue project. And if you look at this graphic of these are bike and pedestrian crashes, you can pick out Central Avenue. This is showing both the city of Albany and Colony, but at that dark blue line in the center area, that's Central Avenue. Sort of our poster child while we need safe streets here. Also a roadmap for implementing the city's bike ped master plan, which, as I said, has not been achieved. It's been around since 2021 now. And number three, we want to, it's kind of a new thing for us, and it looks locally, but it also looks at across the street of the state legislature, which is a local 4-foot law for approaching vulnerable road users. And we see signs here. The sign on the left is from Pennsylvania, specifically for bicycles. When you pass a bicycle and pedestrian, a bicycle in Pennsylvania, you need to give at least 4 feet. And then the big thing isn't so much that people are going to be out there, state troopers are going to be out there with measuring tapes trying to figure out how far you are from the bicyclist. It's the sign. It's the sign which you see all over the place. It's a reminder to drivers that, oh, this is how I should behave on the road. And in Vermont and New Jersey, they're going beyond cyclists and they're looking more at vulnerable road users. So New Jersey, the move over, slow down 4 feet, saves lives for pedestrians, for bicyclists, for other people that are using active transportation. Vermont also just passed a 4-foot law under the similar circumstances there. They defined, and it's very similar to the New York law, where you have a duty of care when you pass or approach somebody. It's just a be careful in New York, but in Vermont, they defined that duty of care as being 4 feet and slow down, which is kind of like what we think we can do here as well. And it could be done locally. Even though the state, we've been pushing for the state to do it. It's a law. There's 3 or 4 foot laws in 42 states and the District of Columbia, but we can't get it through the New York State legislature. But we think that maybe this is a strategy where we can do it. It could also be done at the county level. Suffolk County got tired of waiting for the New York State legislature. Monroe County got tired of waiting, and they both have 3 or 4 foot laws. I forget what they are there. But it could be done here. It could be done in the city, or it could be done in the county. And so that's one of our goals here. And that's it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed, for that presentation. And we'll send out with the presentation information about the World Day of Remembrance here in Albany. When it happens, we'll send you the date. Yeah.
That seems like a significant event. Has there been any effort to make it a regional event? Instead of all being focused?
Well, you know, we certainly let our fellow groups know about like Bike-A-Toga, Cycle Schenectady, but it's really up to some other part. We can handle all, you know, we can't handle a regional event, but at least, you know, I think we can draw more attention to the county.
Yes.
At least for Albany County and not just Albany City, so.
Are you can drop the speed limit down to was 25, but unless there's enforcement. Enforcement seems to be the issue. I mean, everybody's complaining we gotta drop the speed limit because people are going too fast. Well, if they're not following the present speed limit, they're not gonna follow the new speed limit, and it's probably something that you need to engage, I guess, the police department on or something like that.
Yeah, well, if you think about it, I mean, traditionally, people used to go like 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, and if the speed limit was 35, you tend to see people doing like 40 miles an hour. If we drop the speed to 25 miles, and since COVID, it's more like people go 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, it seems, but that's just anecdotal observation. But if we drop to 25, maybe we'll see more people doing 30 to 35 instead of 35 to 40. And you know, the way the formula for kinetic energy is what, 1/2 mv squared, and the v is squared, so it has an exponential effect. So even if you're dropping the speed limit by 5 miles an hour, it has a much bigger impact. It has big impact on the effect on the violence of the crash.
You know, on my road, of course, I live out in the countryside, it's like people drive 15-20 miles over the speed limit, so it's sort of like if you drop the speed limit down 5, it wouldn't make any difference because they're not even doing 10 miles over. They don't care.
Yeah. Well, in the school zones, at least
They got those
cameras
cameras in
come
there,
in.
which is good, and
Yeah.
it's like.
So automated enforcement is one answer, at least for school zones.
And
And they tend to have a halo effect for around the area around the schools too. So it's not just that one space where it's 20 miles an hour. But New York City, they see that it's kind of spread out a little bit over those areas. And you got 20 school zones in here in city of Albany that covers a lot of space.
I know I was in Vermont yesterday and they got those little speed limit things with the thing here, speed, you know, is type of thing or whatever, and it's like. That's probably a thing that could probably do too, to help people slow down.
And then on the flip side, not to blame the victim, but reminding cyclists to remain visible and do everything they can to be more visible out on the road.
Yeah.
Pedestrians not to be in their phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the safe systems approach doesn't just look at the speed. I mean, speed is important. It's road engineering, it's safe people too.
Safe people, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Ed. If there's any more questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll get to them. But if not, we'll move on to in motion plan update. So as of today, we've completed phase 1 and 2. And the vision statement was I think it's supposed to be September 2024. Yeah, because it was approved, I'm pretty sure. The next steps are going to be a draft needs assessment report, a scenario planning to see like what happens if our population grows a certain amount. What would the transportation needs be? We are finishing up our regional photo video collection, which we have started, and there's a few, and I think those will be shared because some of them are regional assets that may be useful to our municipal partners. And then the next tax meeting is going to be in November at 2024 also. And the survey that was out has closed. That was completed, and I think there might be a new one coming out in the fall, in the winter, although I might be picking that up with the Vision Zero one, but there will be another survey coming out. And if anyone, we've gotten some calls about a survey. If any of you were aware of it or got a text of a survey from us, it was for our TDM TDM, and that was more of a real survey we used a polling service to do it. And that's trying to fit demographics of geographic demographics. So if you got a survey with our logo on it, it was not Visions, it was not InMotion, and it wasn't Vision Zero, it was for a third person. Next, I'll give an update on our Vision Zero action plan. The team is beginning to conduct highway safety investigations at 40 locations with the potential for fatal and serious injury crash reduction. At 6 of those locations, the team will develop detailed concepts over a 3-day design workshop with multiple opportunities for public involvement. They're also beginning to collect data to be used for speed limit reduction recommendations, and public input on locations of challenges or opportunities to improve safety is still being collected. That survey is still open. If you haven't taken it, I'll put a link to it in the meeting notes so that you can take it. Or you can go to the CapitalRegionVisionZero.org website and it's on there. You'll be able to find it. Next, we'll have an update from Lindsay from CDTA about CDPHP cycle.
Thanks, Chaim. Good morning, everyone. We are taking full advantage of the absolutely gorgeous weather that we've had through the month of September and now starting in October. So our bike ride numbers are between 450 and 500 rides on our cycle bikes every single day. So we are well over 60,000 rides at this point. We're calculating the September numbers. So once we have those, we'll have a more accurate count. I think it's probably closer to 65,000 rides at this point, but you know, having a great season. The e-bikes are super popular. We're seeing them used in all of the riding areas that we have. A lot of trail riding, a lot of city riding. Once the college students came back late August, early September, they've taken a liking to the e-bikes. So really just a good addition to our fleet. You know, we have 400 of the e-bikes, 200 of the pedal bikes. And so, you know, seeing how popular both bikes still are in the system, it's our plan to keep it as a, you know, a paired system with pedals and e-bikes going forward. So, you know, over the winter, we're going to analyze the, you know, the breakdown of the usage and see, you know, if, you know, and kind of do an assessment on our fleet and see, you know, if we're going to add any new bikes in this off season to bolster the fleet next year. We are working with the city of Rensselaer, supporting an application that they're putting in for some funding. If that comes through, we are looking to expand CDPHP cycle next spring into the city of Rensselaer. So that's exciting. I know Tom's in the room, so give him a little shout out for the work that him and his team are doing to make that happen. So we're excited. CDTA and CDPHP cycle are doing everything we can to help them get that funding and kind of bolster some of their infrastructure in the city. So so that's where we are with cycle. You know, we're going to keep the bikes out on the road until early December, as we've done the last couple seasons, as long as the weather allows us to. So, you know, we're excited to see where our ride totals end, and just wanted to let everybody know that, you know, the program still continues to grow in popularity, and you know, similar to the city of Rensselaer, we get people calling and asking all the time about, you know, can the bikes come to their area? So still expanding, still growing, and still very exciting, even as we you know, inch towards the end of our 8th year. The other thing that I wanted to bring to everyone's attention, we are here at CDTA for the month of October piloting electric scooters in 4 cities throughout the month. We're doing a very small, controlled renting process with the scooters. Started this past weekend in the city of Albany. We had 30 to 35 scooters out over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, for people to download our new CDTA Scoot app. You need to have a credit card. You need to show driver's license verification that you are 18 years of older to ride the scooters. And then we have a 3.5 to 4 square mile riding area with 5 racks built in that riding area. where people can rent the scooters and ride them. So similar to the process of renting and riding the bikes, now we brought the electric scooters that people have been asking about, and we've really wanted to get on the road in a trial phase. So the overall plan of attack, like I said, this past weekend, they were in downtown Albany. This coming weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you'll find them in downtown Troy. The following weekend, Schenectady, and then the last full weekend in October, we'll do the same process up in the city of Saratoga Springs. So, kind of dipping our toe into the water, giving people a chance to ride the scooters, see how they respond to them, see, if the cities enjoy having them as another mode of micro mobility transportation to get people around for quick trips. And so we're giving it a shot. Like I said, it's something that CHA's wanted to do for a while. We know that there is some demand there, so we wanted to give people the opportunity to try them out. We are running our scooter program, even though it is a very small pilot. We're running it pretty tightly and pretty controlled. So similar to how we have an operations team that checks on the bikes, inspects the bikes, moves any bikes back to racks that maybe are left out of hub. We have a separate operations team doing the same thing for the scooters. So checking batteries if they need to be swapped out for fresh batteries. Riding around during the weekends when people can rent them, making sure people are using them properly and safely, doing a lot of messaging about wearing helmets, riding the scooters in the roadway as a vehicle, not on sidewalks. You have to lock it up when you're done riding, has to be locked to a scooter rack, or there are penalties on your account. So, yeah, it's something, we're excited for, but like I said, taking, very small steps into a brand new program. And we think it's a good, smart, safe way to test the waters a little bit. And then we'll collect the data, the ridership feedback from the community and the municipalities, and see if it's something that that we grow a little bit next spring or next year overall.
Thank you, Lindsay. Yeah, that's exciting. We've been hearing about electric scooters shared for a while, so it's exciting that they're out there. And that the cycle might be expanding into rental.
We're grateful for their participation in our grant application. We're looking forward to making that happen.
We are too, Tom. We are too. If there's anything you need, I think Carm sent you that letter of support. If he hasn't sent it, it's coming today. I saw it come through in emails. That might have just been a final review internally here, but that should be coming today or tomorrow. And then, if anybody has any further questions about the scooter program, there's a scooter page on the cdta.org website. There's also Scoot CDTA has its own website, and feel free to give me a call or email with any questions that might pop up. On the CDTA page, you can see the riding areas for each city. And also where the racks are going to be located once those weekends in each city hit. So, open for any questions.
Lindsay, we have a question in chat asking about the charging in Amsterdam.
Oh, the racks. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's been successful so far. Again, that was something that we started earlier. This riding season, the racks went live for Memorial Day weekend. They've been in Amsterdam at the base of the pedestrian bridge all season long. The bikes have been equipped. The way that it works is there's a piece underneath the basket that's installed, and that slides into the top of the charging rack, the wireless charging rack that's attached to our regular cycle rack. So when the bike is parked as you normally would just for a regular cycle ride, you also plug or slide the basket into the wireless charging rack on the front end, and that's what keeps the battery charged. So when those bikes are properly attached to those charging racks, we've seen really great results that they are charging the batteries. The operations team doesn't have to swap those batteries because the charging rack is doing that portion of the work for us. So, the Recharge team has been supplying us with data and, notes and stuff that they've taken throughout the riding season. And we've used, this demo, this pilot program with them to apply for a NYSERDA grant to hopefully grow that program even more. So if we can, get some of this NYSERDA funding, it will help Recharge produce more of these racks, and we can, test it on a larger scale throughout the cycle network, which will be very exciting.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to regional trails planning. I think I told you guys at the last meeting that I had put trail counters out around the region. This is the full list. I've so far downloaded the data and analyzed it to get an estimate for yearly usage for Railroad Run and Spring Run Trail. But once I do it for all 9, I'll produce, similar to what Jen did last year, a trail count program report with all of them, and that will be done before the end of the year, and I'll send that out to, there'll be links, and I'll send that out to this group to see. So there was Railroad Run and Spring Run Trail in Saratoga Springs, Luther Forest Connector, which is in Malta. The Alcohol Heritage Trail is in Schenectady near the casino. We put counter, and then Albany Shaker Road, we did two trail counts on different parts of it. And then the Helderberg Hudson Rail Trail, the Albany County Rail Trail, we had 3 counts on different parts of it. I'm not sure which towns they were in. 2 were in Bethlehem, and 1 might have been in New Scotland or Voorheesville. Yeah, so just look out for that. I'll send an email to this list. You'll see when it's done. There's not a ton of discretionary program applications open right now. I didn't see any that were directly related to active transportation, but coming up later, well, I guess the Protect one, October 2024, was on the FHWA website. I don't think it's been released yet because they didn't have a link to it yet. And the RAISE grant in November. Protect is used, the Protect grant program is used for resiliency to natural hazards, and this can be used for all transportation infrastructure, including bike ped infrastructure, and RAISE grants have been used in the past for complete streets projects. So that's an active it's not just for active transportation, but it can be used for active transportation projects. Status of our regional planning initiatives here of the Transportation Council's work. I'll have these attached to the meeting notes so you can read them. They're also online from our most recent planning committee meeting, but these are our linkage projects and some other smaller scale and larger scale projects. Currently there's a Town of Niskayuna Route 7 corridor study that I'm managing, that Daria is out now, and we'll be getting responses later this month. So yeah, that will be a project to look out for. We'll have active transportation component to it. As always, our Tech Assist program is open and available if you need help with smaller scale projects. Yeah, just send an email or give us a call, and we can help figure out a scope for your work, or help you get the actual work done. I guess go backwards. I'll open it up to the room if anyone has any updates about initiatives or events that are coming up that you want to share with us. Yeah, feel free to unmute or put in the chat. And if you think of anything later, just send me an email, and I can, if you get it to me in the next couple of days, I can get it into the email when I send out our meeting notes.
I may have missed it, but there's an ADA pedestrian infrastructure study in Rensselaer as well that carries.
Okay, that would probably be in this in here somewhere that you might not be able to see, but yeah, it's,
Okay, there.
no, it said, yeah.
It's a signature, though.
Rensselaer was added to that, okay, yeah, so this. I'll have this in the meeting notes that it'll be digital, but you'll actually be able to read the words in it. But yeah, we're continuing to do ADA transition plan work, and I think there's a new solicitation going out, or maybe a continuation of this solicitation. So that you can look out for as part of our linkage tech assist. Yeah, if anyone else wants. Lastly, to set our meeting date for next year, I think it's easiest just to continue the same pattern of the second Tuesday of the month at 9 AM, which will be January 7th, April 8th, July 8th, and October 7th. Again, I'll make sure these are in the meeting notes and the email, and I'll send out an Outlook calendar event for all 4 of them, so they're on your calendar and don't get forgotten about. Yeah, if anyone has anything they wanna say, I'm done with my, yeah, go ahead, Ed.
Just to remind people haven't heard, October 17th and 18th at the Capitol Center in Albany. New York Bicycling Coalition has the New York State Bike Summit. There's some very interesting programs there. You can sign up for 1 or 2 days. The author of a book called Killed by a Traffic Engineer is one of the presenters. He's actually a professor of, I guess, traffic engineering, Colorado, but it's an interesting book and should be an interesting speaker, as well as other good programs. And on the 19th, which is the day after, there's a Kids Learn to Ride program that's being sponsored in the city of Albany. We're trying to focus on especially on people in the downtown area, kids like the Housing Authority, but as of right now, there's still some spaces open. We're opening up to 20 kids, and that's from 10 AM to noon. The new Learn to Bike parklet that they built under 787.
Thank you, Ed.
Oh, and that information is on the events page of Albany Bicycle Coalition.
Okay, yeah, we can send a link to that. Also, if anyone came into the meeting, like in middle, can you put your name and affiliation in the chat just so that I have it when I'm doing the meeting notes? Thank you. Steve, do you wanna add something? Okay, if no one else has anything, then I will end the meeting. Thank you all for coming, and see you all in January.